It's shiny. It's awesome. It's cool. It's a piece of hardware that I can give for my baby boy.
Porque eu não comi nada antes.
You know, absolutely. Hold on, I'm talking, brother. 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 Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Hold on, I'm talking, brother. I'm your co-host, Joe Greenwood, and I am joined by my... No, I'm the host. You're the co-host.
Mentally defeated already.
I'm your host, Joe Greenwood, and I'm joined by my regular co-host. You just heard him there, Tom. I always withhold the surnames of people because I don't want to put them in a place where I don't want you saying something controversial and then, you know... I was going to say 4chan, but QAnon will be coming after you.
Well, you were just airing your views about Wi-Fi signals and vaccinations before the podcast.
Let me hold on.
Let's keep you with Joe.
That is slander of the highest order, and I don't appreciate it. UFC 262, Chandler versus Oliveira for the lightweight title. Sadly, this card lost Edwards Diaz last week.
Yeah, but it's still coming. Don't be too sad.
4 weeks' time, which would be great.
Beefed up that next one. And what do you think, Joe? Looking at this card already, you can almost afford to sacrifice a big fight like that because we got some good matchups.
Yeah, it's definitely made our job harder in terms of our competition because, listeners, let me take you behind the scenes. Me and Tom were basically having a meltdown for the last half an hour before we started recording, going like, I just don't know, Tom. I don't know what to do. Like neither of us, like both desperately scrambling through fucking Caitlin Chukagian's record, hoping for some sort of insight. But
glimmer of insight.
Yeah.
I think what's adding to the pressure is our show last time, Joe. For the listeners, you remember our predictions last time. They wasn't the best kind of note to begin on. Budding podcasters because we got it totally wrong.
Yeah. No. Well, hold on. Who won though? Like, let's just remind the listeners that who won the last pay-per-view.
You did. You won it. You won it. No reservations.
Good. It was, as per usual, though, an unspectacular win for the champion. Whoever entered.
Mate, the Wi-Fi signals here, they're playing on my brain. You know how it is. But I've turned the Wi-Fi off now. I'm using mobile data.
Okay, good. That's much more healthy for your body. Yeah, it was... What was it? 4 points to 3. It was a poor performance from us. Yeah, pretty poor. But you know what? Onwards and upwards. We can only improve. But before we get into UFC 262, let's talk about the last two Fight Night cards. Should we start with the one from 2 weeks ago? My boy, Yuri Prochazka, crushing Dom Reyes.
Crazy fight.
Crazy
fight.
Fight of the year?
Well, it was the second round, right?
Yeah.
It was stopped in, yeah. Yeah, we'd like maybe a bit more back and forth. Because, I don't know. I mean, of course, like, Yuri really, he's ready to die. Live by the sword, die by the sword, and it could end at any minute. Yeah. But still, he was really putting it on Reyes, I would say, for the majority of the fight. Yes, Reyes was landing those sweet counters that he's so good at.
Yeah, very sharp.
Like, the momentum, for me, never switched into Reyes, and that's what we like in a fight of the year.
Did you see Prochazka talking about that fight after the fact?
I saw that he was talking about being knocked out and trying to figure out what was going on. And I do remember at the time, you know, when he was like face down, flat.
Yeah.
I was like, is he styling on him? Is he,
Yeah, no, I thought at the time, I remember watching it going like, there's no way Reyes has just knocked him out, is there? Because first off, I would have been a bit pissed if that was the ending. And then I saw on Reddit, someone posted it, and it's like, he barely skimmed him by the looks of it. But now Prochazka's saying he was knocked out for like a moment. Like, I'm not sure if he really means knocked out, but like
he was rigid. He was rigid. He was like flat out straight, like a a board or a plank of wood.
that's mad. That's mad that he came back from that then.
Wait, but as you say, it was kind of instantaneous, and he recovered so fast. It was very discreet the way he did it, and yeah.
He was lucky he landed on top of him then, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah. But so Yuri Prochazka probably going to wait for the winner of Glover versus Jan Blachowicz for the title, which was announced for August, I believe.
Well, it seems like Blachowicz and Prochazka have already kind of got a deal there that Blachowicz will beat Teixeira. No
Yes.
problems. And
The
they'll have
zombie
an Eastern
himself.
European unification belt, but I don't know if you can look through Glover like that.
No, never.
But I mean, what matchup do you want to see more?
Oh, well, Blachowicz, Prochazka by a long. And you know what I'm going to say? Do it in Poland. Come on. Get it in a big...
Yeah, they were talking about doing it in Silesia, in southwest Poland or northeast Czech Republic. They've got a city there that's half in Czech and more in Poland. But yeah,
That would be mad.
bring it on.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the lowest selling pay-per-view ever, though, isn't it? If you just do that card and you load it... Hey, what about this?
a light heavyweight Grand Prix.
No,
Think of all the Eastern European stars we got.
here we go. Main event. You got Blachowicz, Prochazka. Sorry, Glover. I'm presuming that Blachowicz is going to send you to hell. Blachowicz, Prochazka. Co-main, Sterling Jan.
Hey, I'm in.
I am in for that. And then...
I don't know if we can have that fight in Eastern Czech Republic.
Why? That'd be great. If that's what a true American champion would do. Like, he'd go out there.
Well, Aljamain's got a fair way to prove that he is the true American champion.
Well-
Maybe that's the way he could redeem himself.
Well, you know what? I can only hope. But yeah, you could also have someone like Rakic versus... who's our boy who sent Kutelaba to hell? What's his name? That...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ankalaev?
Pakistani.
Ankalaev.
Yeah, it is Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev. Sweet boxing on that fella.
Yes, those two. Oof, that would be a sweet fight. I kind of feel bad for Rakic because it's just like he probably has earned himself a title shot with some of his performances. Although who's he beaten? Anthony Smith and who did he beat recently? We're going way off track already here. I'm sorry about this, but
Remember, we're also supposed to be getting 1 hour. So we've had complaints from the listeners.
okay, yes. Well, we'll get past that. But yeah, Yuri Prochazka, what a man, what a boy, love it. And then the most recent one, Waterson Rodriguez. Not really much to say about that, other than Rodriguez is a better fight than her. Fought at a decent pace, but not much more. Gregor Gillespie, Diego Ferreira.
That's the one to pick out, I think, from that card.
Hell.
Gillespie went to his dark place.
That was grim. He was very emotional, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
That was quite something. But I thought he was done at the end of that first round when he was wobbling.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable performance.
Crazy scramble. So many interesting positions and just looks you just don't get.
That's one of my fight of the years right there. Just in terms of the intensity of it was just incredible. And also like the fact that you knew, or that you thought you knew, that Gillespie was like on his last legs and that he just dug in, and then Ferreira just crumbles. Like Ferreira should have won that fight.
That's a real testament to the work that Gillespie put in, because I mean Ferreira's he's a vet,
Yeah.
He's been there and he's been tested against the best of them, and he wilted,
Yeah.
Cormier was welling up. It was a kind of signature, apart from the speed of the transitions, it was a signature Cormier, bring your backpack, we're gonna grind.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very impressive.
Hell of a display for Gillespie, and he's right back on track now. That spectacular loss he had against Lee is in the rear view, and I think he's going to start motoring up through the the rankings.
He's above Lee in the rankings now. Kevin Lee, who said he's going up to 170.
Well, we've got a little segment later on, I think, in the podcast. We're going to look at the lightweight rankings. There've been a few murmurings there.
Okay.
But given that we've got a couple of lightweights later on in our main card here. Perhaps we'll save it.
Mm-hmm. We'll get to that later.
We'll revisit the subject about lightweights and their trajectory and where they should be.
And then lastly from that fight night card, Neil Magny against Jeff Neal, a fight that we'd been clamouring for a while. Very disappointing, I found. Jeff Neal, very just headhunting. It was a bit depressing to watch, to be honest.
Well,
didn't learn much from that Thompson fight, did he?
No, he didn't. And you and I have talked about Jeff Neal before. I know you're a staunch defender.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
You're a fan. There have been some really damning statistics coming out about his,
his leg kicks.
Range of his, well, leg kicks even work to the body.
Yeah.
There's really not much going on apart from headhunting. And, Magny's just not the man to try to do that to him.
I love that every fighter against Magny, they're just like, they get into a clinch and I'm like, yeah, I could beat this guy. And then 15 minutes goes by and they've lost the fight and they're like, what the fuck? Like, the fight has literally just left them, like, Magny just drags them into fights that they shouldn't be in, to be honest.
Yeah, he makes it dirty, push and pull, wears on them. Very good at the clinch for such a long-rangey guy.
Yeah, I love Neil Magny. He's just, I love just how tricky he is. And him versus Hamzat?
It's a hell of a test for Hamzat. Maybe Hamzat needs to build himself up a bit more before then.
I think they're probably going to chuck him straight back in there, to be honest. Unless you do Hamzat versus Mike Perry, which I would very much enjoy watching. Rest in peace, Mike. Right, UFC 262. Let's get into it. Let's get into the meat of this. Let's start with the first fight. Matt Schnell versus Rogerio. Is that how I say it? Rogerio Bontorin. Is that correct?
That was a kind of Hispanic inflection.
Bontorin. Sorry, no offense to you, man. Rogerio. Bontorin. Let's. Well, as a champ, I'm going to decide that you go first. So give me your breakdown of Schnell versus Bontorin.
Now, this is cruel because I confided in my co-host here that I was having a few issues making my picks for this fight, and so he's put me on the spot. So let's start with Bontorin's last fight.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. I can hear you. No, I can hear you. I'm just going through some notes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Bontorin, his last fight was Kai Kara France.
Mm-hmm.
And that was noteworthy in that Bontorin looking very good, and he was outlanding Kai Kara France until, out of nowhere, it was a vicious head kick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, if I remember correctly, yes.
Put you in deep water now. I think that's what we saw there.
Yeah. But it was, the thing that was funniest about that was that the ref stepped in and Kara France ran off to celebrate, and then he thought that the ref hadn't actually stopped it. Went back to give him a hammer fist, and the ref thankfully jumped in before he landed what would have been a life-threatening blow to the noggin of Bontorin.
Instead, he just damaged Bontorin's pride because he thought that he was showboating after the win. And it lit a torch under him, and he came out on the set after the fight.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
Which was very fun. Bontorin, this is such like a weird fight because it's like, this is like the ultimate sort of prelim sort of fight to me. You know, they're both flyweights, if I remember correctly, but they're both fighting at bantamweight because obviously I think they've been asked to take this fight on short notice. Which is a bit annoying for us considering that Jacare is right there on the prelims. Just, help us out here, Dana. Also, listeners, I want to put this out here. This has honestly been the hardest card for me and Tom to do any predictions for in quite a long time, I feel like.
You may feel like that, Joe, but I'm ready to get my belt back. So let's move on and talk about his opponent then.
Matt Schnell.
What's your breakdown? Yeah. What's your thoughts on Schnell?
I've seen him fight once. No, I've seen him fight. Yeah, no, I've seen him fight twice. Sorry, Tyson Nam.
Yeah.
On the Chiesa Magny card,
Which finished as a split decision for Nam.
No, for Schnell. Yeah, I'm quite literally looking at. What are you shaking your head for? I'm looking at the Wikipedia now.
I'm shaking my head at your lack of preparation here, Joe.
I'm looking at it. What am I supposed to say about this? Like, he had apparently the Tyson Nam fight was supposed to happen in September, and it was cancelled twice before being taking place in January. He lost to Pantoja, beat Espinoza. He beat Espinoza by triangle, which I think is more of an indictment on Espinoza, to be honest. Yeah, from what I've seen, I'm not massively impressed by your man Schnell, but considering also how good flyweight is now and how sort of alive it's become, I feel like both of these guys are a bit of a clogger, to be honest, in that division, and a body to be beaten. At least that's the vibe I got from them. Like, I'm sorry, man. If you're losing to Pantoja, I'm not really having you as a contender.
I see, but we just had your hot prospect stumble against Pantoja, no? Manel Cape.
Yeah.
And Pantoja, he lost to Askarov, he lost to Davison Figueiredo. I'd say he's right up there for me. So I'd say that defeat by Pantoja, it doesn't look as bad, because he's proving himself.
No, Pantoja's a good fighter, but I don't know. When I think about like the top flyweight fighters, and I'm talking about like in the history of that division and sort of worldwide as well, I don't know. Neither of these guys, at least from what I've seen, have particularly impressed me. Although if he is outstriking Kai Kara France, he must be a pretty good striker at the very.
What's your pick, Joe?
No, I'm the champ. I go second.
All right. Well, I'll come out. Now Schnell, he is the bigger fighter. He's fought at bantamweight a little bit more, so could be advantage Schnell on that front. But after he really ran his name through the muck. I'm picking Bontorin by a thunderous decision after 3 rounds.
Okay, so do you want to know how I chose this? No, what I did was I just
the short straw thing again.
No, well, I can't.
The tea leaves.
I can't show you my notes because it will give away my other predictions. But I wrote Matt Schnell and I just looked at it for a couple minutes and then I just scratched out and I put Bontorin by sub, and that is how I've come to that decision.
It could be inspired.
Honestly, yeah, I was thinking. There's been a couple times when we've been doing these predictions, where I've done my research and I've become so set on an idea of something happening that the opposite has happened. Shout out to my boy Jacob Malkoon getting sent to hell by Phil Hawes, but
he's redeemed himself though in the last 2 weeks.
Yes, he has.
You saw something in him.
Yes, I did. Well, Phil Hawes has fucking come good.
Jesus Christ! Yeah,
that was
absolutely
quite
huge performance.
Yeah, quite a performance the other night. But yeah, I'm going Bontorin by sub. He's won by sub a couple times. Although Matt Schnell has never been defeated by sub. He's only ever been knocked out.
There was a raised eyebrow. That if when we go live on the listeners would have seen that. The viewers.
Yes.
But yeah, all right. So we've got a decision for me and a sub for you.
Yes. Excellent.
Aziario. Let's go.
Cue Matt Schnell by head kick KO. Right. Let's roll on to the next fight as I bring up my notes here. Shane Burgos, a big boy. I don't know how he makes featherweight versus Edson Barbosa, who obviously very, very famously was fighting at lightweight, moved down to featherweight when most people thought he should be going the other way. Edson Barbosa, I mean, highlight reel knockouts, aplenty for Barbosa.
It's been a little while.
It has been a while. Oh no! I mean, there's sort of like a historical sort of fighter in the UFC. He does have sort of very famous sort of knockouts and performances.
He has the best highlight reel in UFC.
The Terry Etim.
Not just the Etim, his flying knee on Dariush.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he has. I think he's finished people, with leg kicks. He's finished them with his hands.
Yeah, yeah, and also if you think about his win over Dan Hooker,
Oh God. Yeah.
KO by brutality. I mean, that was a severe beating that Hooker took.
Old Testament violence in that fight.
Yes, it was. Yes, it really, really was. Should I? I'll just talk about this very quickly. And actually, this is going to relate to something I wanted to talk about with Prohashka at the time. So Prohashka and Burgos both land at a crazy amount. Prohashka lands at something like nearly 8 strikes per minute, which is ridiculously high when you would consider 3 strikes per minute to be high. But he absorbs, I think, something like 6 or 7 strikes per minute. Burgos lands at 7.31 strikes per minute, and he absorbs 5.81. And Edson Barbosa lands at 3.98, and he absorbs at 4.03. So it's basically 1-to-1.
But we're adding a hell of a lot of ground and pound on Barbosa's strikes absorbed.
Yes.
Aren't we?
Yeah, I would. Oh, were you talking about Khabib when he?
I'm talking about Khabib. I'm talking about Kevin Lee.
Of course. Tony Ferguson. Did Tony Ferguson land some ground and pound in that fight? Not really. He did take a beating from Ferguson, if I remember correctly, and to the point where Barbosa took him down, just to kind of get out of there, I think. Barbosa's taken some all-time beatings in the last few years, at the very least. But going back to the Burgos thing, and this is something that I realised in watching that Prohashka fight, where I realised that Prohashka is willing to absorb those strikes, to give those strikes, because he's making people fight at a pace that is more suitable to him. So someone like Dom Reyes isn't used to fighting at that speed. He's more about like picking his shots and waiting, whereas Prohashka was making him fight at a speed that he wasn't used to. And I think that's probably what Burgos is going to do against Barbosa. I mean, really, that is what you should do against Barbosa, is push him back to the point where he can't really throw his kicks, he can't set his kicks up. And Barbosa's just going to have to move on the outside and land his shots from there. I mean, this is the tried and tested way of beating Edson Barbosa. Yeah. And really, what you have to wonder is Burgos going to follow through on that?
Well, we know that Burgos is going to follow through on that. You only have to watch his absolute wars that he's had. Nothing will deter that man. He keeps coming.
Yeah, I think he's had 2 losses. One to Emmett, which was
unbelievable fight.
Yes, that was. You could have made a case for that being the best fight of last year if Zhang versus Joanna didn't happen.
We had it shortlisted, I think, in our fights
yeah,
of the year.
I think it was 3rd for me in that one. He lost to Cater, but there's no shame in losing to Calvin Cater, particularly by knockout, which I think is how he lost that fight.
It is.
Yeah. Yes. So I'll drop my prediction on this one first, if you don't mind, Tom.
Go for it.
Again, struggled with this one immensely, and I had BUR written down on my piece of paper for a while.
What could it mean?
Well, I was looking at it, and I was like, I could really turn that U to an A very easily, and so just put Barbosa. And I was just looking at it for a while, and I was thinking, I'm going to go with Barbosa with this. But the last second, I just looked at those stats for Burgos. You know, his striking accuracy is 50%, meaning that in reality he's throwing 14 strikes per minute and he's landing 7. I mean, that's an insane output, and he has got the cardio to back that up. I'm going to go with Shane Burgos, and I'm going by knockout.
Oof.
I think he's going to finish Barbosa.
Okay. You're saying something in the vein of the Gaethje fight, for example.
Basically, yeah. Also, I will say this. I know that Barbosa's record recently has not looked great. You know, the Gaethje loss, yeah, whatever. But the Felder loss and the Ige loss, you could very easily have given him those fights. very, very
Well,
easily.
exactly. Let me take the baton there. Yeah, you absolutely could. I had him beating both of those guys, Felder and Ige.
I had Felder winning that fight personally, and then
Well,
Ige, I definitely didn't have him winning that one.
I believe you are a premium subscriber to Felder's OnlyFans.
I'm not that much of a mark for Paul Felder.
You love Paul Felder.
I do love Paul Felder.
Clouding your judgment.
No, it's not.
Joe,
not.
Joe, listen, I'm having Barbosa, and he's gonna TKO Shane Burgos.
Oh my days, listener!
Yes.
It's a gunfight.
It's a gunfight, and let me tell you why that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for all the same reasons you said. Burgos is gonna come flying forwards. He's gonna pressure Barbosa. He's going to be trade with him. He's going to go to war with him, and he is going to meet the same kind of fate as another man who likes to trade and absorb and go to absolute wars, Dan Hooker. And Dan Hooker, he met a horrible fate against Barbosa.
Yeah, I sometimes I've watched that fight back a couple times, and particularly that ending where Cormier's literally screaming, "Stop the fight!"
Stop the fight.
You know it's bad when the commentator is like has stopped saying he needs to do this, and he's saying, "Ref, stop the fight." Yeah, I can see that. Listeners.
Look, Burgos is there to be hit. Barbosa loves hitting people, and if you watch Burgos, he doesn't actually, he's not like coming in on angles or anything. He's marching forwards.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'd say the only thing that I don't think he's going to go to this because I just don't think it's in his nature. But Burgos does have pretty good takedown defense. Let me try and bring the stats up for that. His takedown defense is 89%, and his takedown offense is 100%. So he does have good wrestling, so he can go to that as well.
Okay.
So he could.
What about his head kick defense? What percentage of head kicks knock him out? That's the one you need for this fight.
Well, Calvin Cater is more of a headhunter himself anyway, with his boxing. So, yeah, I did look at the stats of the Hooker Barbosa fight, and there were quite a lot of shots to the body in that one. I feel like Hooker's a bit of an easier target than Burgos in a way because of how long he is. Got such a long torso, whereas Burgos to me is a bit more tankish in his build. I mean, these guys are the same height, by the way. It's not like this is a significantly bigger target for Barbosa, but yeah, I mean, either way, the viewers win, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a hell of a fight. I'm also like I like both fighters. They both guarantee a show, but there's been a bit of injustice done to young or not so young 35-year-old Barbosa, and I want to see him
one last run.
Marquee. Well, I mean, I don't fancy him against the top of the division here. I'll be honest.
No.
No. Yep. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on indeed to the people's main event: Caitlin Chukagian versus Viviane Araújo. Is that?
You know what, Joe? I had already skipped that fight. I was about to bring up my quiz for the men's lightweight division, which I got prepared for.
Okay.
Well, let me come out and hit you straight in the face with this.
Go on.
Chukagian by decision.
Oh my word!
Straight in. Right, mate. Look.
Break it down.
Bigger woman.
Yeah.
Karate specialist.
Yeah.
What more do you want? All right, come on. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I've gone Araújo by decision. I'm not taking the piss. I've genuinely gone by Araújo by decision. I've got to say, there's
a flaw in your logic there, mate. Let's explore it.
I'm going to put this out here, right? I've watched Caitlin Chukagian fight way too many times, and I don't like it. She is not good at fighting, in my humble opinion. She goes on about, by the way, like, she trains with like John Danaher and, you know, the Danaher Death Squad, or at least she did. I don't know if she's moved down to Puerto Rico with them. I doubt it, to be honest. How many submission wins does she have on her in her career, do you think, Tom? 15 wins. How many by submission?
2.
She's got 1, and that was in 2015. Not even in the UFC. So I'm not having her grappling. So I'm not having her size being an issue. I don't know. I kind of went with Araujo because she's knocked a woman out in the UFC, so that's enough for me. And she's got some decision wins. Lost to Jessica I, which is quite the indictment, but whatever. But I did actually watch the Roxanne Modafferi fight, which that was on the Chiesa Magni card.
In preparation for tonight?
No, when it happened, I remember. I actually remember the fight because I thought like, oh, Roxanne Modafferi just lost. Okay, fair enough. That was literally my reaction to that fight. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about either of these women. No offense to you, but you know, you're in the flyweight division. You're getting smoked down the line, aren't you? If you put a couple wins together.
Well, I'm shocked that you're saying this about the women's number 10 pound for pound in the world, and this is Caitlin Chikagian, if you weren't sure.
Wait, what? She's the number
10. I'm looking right now at the UFC's official rankings.
She's the 10th best women's fighter in that company. I'm not having
I have tremendous faith in these rankings, as we're going to see in a minute. So yeah, I think that'll be easy. 2 points for me.
Can you fucking hell.
Also, I might add, ranked second in flyweight.
Who's ranked third in that division?
Lauren Murphy.
Oh, my girl, Lauren Murphy. Oh my God. Do you remember when she beat up that Uzbek woman who I picked on that Khabib Gaethje card? And I was just like, that woman's got to be good. She's Uzbek. Like, I'm not having it.
You can normally bank on it.
I'm trying to think who was going to be in that top. I'll need to look up these women's pound for pound rankings and see if there's someone on there.
Well, let me try and. I got it right here. We can do a little quiz if you want. A little warm up quiz for the main event.
Okay.
All right. So let's see.
Okay, should I just list them in what I think the order is?
Well, I mean, the top 5, I think you would be pretty comfortable with.
Nunes, Shevchenko, Joanna, Rose, Andrade.
No.
Zhang,
yeah. Andrade is 6th. I'm looking for you already know Chikagian is 10th. Who are the other 3?
Holly Holm always gets overranked.
Unbelievable. She's ranked 8th.
Mackenzie Dern?
She's 12th.
She's 12th?
She's 12th. 12th best woman at any weight class in the UFC.
Carla Esparza tends to get a little bit overranked, I feel like.
You need to go look at the bigger women.
Jermaine Durandame?
Yeah, Durandame's 7th.
Then who's... And then there's the 9th...
We're looking for number 9, yeah.
That's so we're looking for 9. Is that also a bigger woman as well? It's not. Okay.
Go on.
Oh, I was about to say Lauren Murphy, but it can't be.
She's
her.
9-1.
9-1.
Yeah, it is a bigger one.
Aspen Lad.
It's Aspen Lad.
Jesus
right.
Christ! The fact that I know that is sad. Right. Anyway.
Dedication to the fight game.
Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed actually. The women's strawweights aren't more reps. Hold on, where's Jessica Pena? She's not on that list.
Not ranked.
And she's fighting for the title next. All right, whatever. Right. Let's move on from that because that was just horrendous. Right. Let's just.
That's what the paying subscribers.
Yeah. Subscribe to our Patreon. Anyway, Dariush versus Ferguson. Should we go on to that next? Or do you want me to wait?
No. It's definitely time to move on.
Yes, please.
Well, so it's in the context of rankings. You've probably caught there's been some murmurings this week in the men's lightweight division.
Mm.
Have you seen anything about this? A bit of back and forth about ranked opponents, people fighting down?
Oh, yeah, Dan Hooker not fighting, or Fiziev. And who's the other guy who's moaning about not fighting a ranked opponent?
That is the Armenian fella representing Russia. What's his name? He is Sharukian.
Oh, yes. Very good fighter.
Arman Sharukian. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Fiziev can't really be denied. He's
amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's amazing. Like that very quick kick to the stomach is...
Yeah.
You know, he gets his leg up so fast there. So we're expecting big things from them. Neither of them ranked in the top 15.
Really? Oh, yes.
Neither of them.
Yes.
Okay, so who is ranked in the top 15? So I have got some fighters here who are ranked in the top 15 at lightweight.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm hoping you don't have the rankings in front of you.
I don't have the rankings in front of me now.
Don't have the rankings in front of you. Okay. I'm going to kind of mention something about an individual that might call into question their place in the rankings. You have to guess who the fighter is.
Okay.
All right, so...
Are you going to go through all of them and I need to guess who they are, or is it just some of them?
I'm not going to go through it. No, it's the ones that I would say that guys like Fiziev...
should be in instead of.
Well, that they're probably looking at and thinking, what's going on here? You know, I need some upward momentum. Give me one of these guys.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen Fiziev. He's been pretty active, calling out just whoever will go for it.
Mm.
I think it was it Hooker? I watched some very broken English call out from him the other day. But anyway, all right. So let's see. Okay, well, the first one, probably we'll start with the easiest one then. This man has not won in the UFC's lightweight division for 4.5 years. All right, and he's ranked in the top 15 right now.
He hasn't won at lightweight in 4.5 years?
No.
Oh. It's Conor.
It's Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
Number 6.
That's
not
mad.
A fight at lightweight.
That is insane. That you forget that he hasn't. Yeah, Eddie Alvarez,
which was November of 2016 at Madison Square Garden.
Ah, yes.
Okay,
wow.
That's number 6. All right.
Yeah.
Then we've got a guy. I'm not sure which one to pick out here.
Go on.
I'll go for this one. All right. This fella, this gentleman.
Yeah.
He said himself he's only looking for money fights. All right. He thinks he's that kind of draw. He can't bring him out to fight someone who's not ranked, for example. And he wants to fight up. Despite that, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Overall record is 17-6.
2-3 in his last 5 fights. Ranked lightweight.
Ranked lightweight. Ranked 10th.
Ranked 10th.
Ranked 10th. We have referenced him earlier in the pod.
It's not referenced him earlier.
You're a big fan.
I'm a big... Oh! Paul Felder.
Paul Felder.
Paul Felder.
He's ranked 10th at lightweight.
What was his last win at lightweight? Barbosa.
Yeah, which he didn't win. Anyway. So, yeah.
Jesus. I kind of get it with Felder, because he's like one of those, like... He's a TV fighter who you can main event with him at any stage, and I get why he would say that, but... Yeah, if I'm gonna take you seriously as a lightweight fighter, yeah, you got to be.
Well, yeah. Mate, I'm just gonna reference a few other records here. I'm not looking for you to guess, but you just shout out quickly if you know them. All right. Well, we got a guy whose record is 20-10, and he's 3-3 in his last 6.
Oh, Dan Hooker.
Dan Hooker, ranked 8th.
8th?
We have 8th. Yeah, 8th. Yes. We have a guy who's 2-4 in his last 6.
And he's ranked?
He's ranked 13th. He's also declared he's going up.
Oh, Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lee, very good. I wrote down one more fella. He's barely active. I think he's won twice at lightweight in the last 4.5 years.
What? 2 wins and then what? Like
2 wins in his last 4.5 years. Yeah. Yeah. He's also a guy who's been up and down.
Carlos Diego Ferreira?
No, but he's also ranked. No, I was looking for RDA. He's still ranked.
Oh, RDA. Hold on, where's RDA ranked?
He's 7th.
7th.
So,
well, I will say though, he was at welterweight and he has come back down to lightweight, but okay.
You can make a case for some of these guys. All I'm just saying is we've got 5 fellas there: Felder, Lee, RDA, Hooker, and McGregor, who have less than stellar form right now.
Yeah.
At lightweight, and of course it is a form sport.
Yeah.
So some of them, obviously former belt holders in McGregor and RDA. Some real guys who got very close. In Kevin Lee, can he beat Khabib? Does he have the recipe?
Yeah.
All right. So who else could be in there? We have got a fella, 17-1, on a 5-fight streak in the UFC. No losses in the UFC. 5 wins in the UFC. No losses. 17-1 at lightweight.
Brad Riddell?
He is on my list also. He has three wins in the UFC, no losses. He's 9-1.
He's 9-1. Okay.
17-1. Now I haven't checked this guy's actual record. I was just trying to make a point here.
Yeah, but still, like the quality.
Grant Dawson.
Grant Dawson? Who the fuck is that?
he's been manning the undercards of a few fights, maybe even on the early prelims.
I'm gonna have to Google this guy. Sorry, this is really unprofessional.
More fellas to.
He's got a Wikipedia, so he can't be that bad.
Mate, 5-0 in the UFC.
That's really impressive. Well, 6
All
if
right.
you're going to include the Contender Series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
We already referenced Fiziev, who's looked amazing last couple of times out. He did stumble. But
Yeah.
he's 9-1.
Whatever. Yeah.
We also referenced Sarukian,
Yeah.
who's 16-2. We got an Olympic medalist, who's he needs a bit more time, but he's coming. He's 10-0.
An Olympic
2-0 in the UFC. He's Danish.
Oh.
He's not ready to be ranked
I
yet.
know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Talking about Mark Madsen.
Right.
Yeah, and I got Joe Selecki. He's 3-0 in the UFC.
Jesus. There's some good fighters there.
There's some guys, who, when you look at the form of the guys at the top here, you can't tell me Fiziev wouldn't be crying out for a fight with Felder.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I thought Riddell was ranked. I thought Riddell was ranked, so I would have put like Fiziev versus Riddell, which would be an insane fight. Yeah. Where's Khabib's boy ranked? I forgot his name. Makachev. That's it. Where's he ranked?
Yeah, I think he's in the top 10.
And is Drew Dober still ranked?
He's 15th, I think.
I can give or take that sort of thing. That one doesn't bother me as much.
Dober got smoked last time out.
Yeah, but it was against a guy who's going into the top 10. That's not the end of the world to me. But yeah, no, it's kind of weird with like rankings because it's like, what justifies being ranked? Like, do you have to be a ranked guy to become ranked? Or let's say Gregor Gillespie faces Fiziev, and it's like, let's say Gillespie wins, for example. Should he then be ranked 12th, for example? Or should he... Do you know what I mean? Like, where should you then enter in the rankings?
My feelings about this is that I'm all right with the UFC having some discretion and pushing people who are more marketable, and I'm making prize fights, and it's not all
we get
for
it.
Guys coming in, just winning decisions, and he's from, a small market for the UFC. I understand, fair enough. Guys have to go and build themselves a profile. I guess what I would like to see, though, is maybe some rules, or some structure. For example, you can only fight down if you're coming off a loss, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so say you're occupying one of these higher slots, like Hooker or Lee or Felder, right? You can't just be sitting, waiting, clogging up the rankings for somebody above you. If you're
Right.
coming off a loss, you have to fight down.
I like that. I like that. So like Felder can only look at guys that, even if someone above him has lost, he can only fight a guy who's below him, even if that guy. Oh, but that guy needs to have won though. That's the other thing. So
Yeah.
but it does create this sort of like constant cycle then of rankings, and then that means that when you do go higher up the rankings, then it actually means something.
Well, it also means, yeah, once you're building momentum, you're guaranteed to be given the opportunity to continue it with bigger and bigger fish. That seems quite just. And yeah, you could say that, all right, that rules out maybe some good matchups for a guy like Felder fighting other guys who are coming off losses, but there are other guys who are coming up. Like it's much more renewal in the sport.
Yeah, I guess so. It depends on if you. But then that actually then means that those rankings have to mean something generally, which they don't. Sadly, I feel.
Well,
like...
but they do to the UFC. We're told that they use them to negotiate pay deals, for example.
That's true, but then also the UFC does have input onto their rankings, though. Where,
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it's like, someone who they like is going to be. They're going to encourage the people who do the rankings to be like, can you push this person forward a bit much? Someone
of
like.
course.
So, for example,
but
did you see the document that went out there about when they were doing the new rankings? And basically, it was just like, you need to put Bryce Mitchell in the top 10, and you need to keep Josh Emmett at 8. And it's just like, I'm sorry, but Josh Emmett is a top 5 featherweight for me when he's when his knees come back, which maybe never, sadly. That's part of the issue for me. Is like, if we know that to them the rankings are purely a mechanism to then justify fights, as in Conor McGregor being ranked. Was he ranked 6th?
6th, yeah.
Which to me, that's insane. That's insane that he's even ranked, to be honest with you, because he's had...
I mean, you don't need to rank Nate Diaz to market him, do you?
That's true, yeah. That's true. But then it's
you
like...
need to rank guys like Fiziev, Sharukian, that's how they start to build. That's what they can point to. And,
yeah. But then it creates a league then outside of the rankings, as in a super league, if you will, where it's like Conor McGregor. No, Conor McGregor is above the rankings.
Well, we already have that, mate. We already know that. We're already tacitly complicit in this.
I guess so.
I mean, we've already got Poirier opting not to fight for the belt.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get that in a second when we talk about the main event. But should we talk about Dariush versus Ferguson now?
Yes, which are of course 2 more guys at lightweight in those rankings.
Yeah,
Dariush they both justify their place, so I didn't call either of them out.
I almost feel like Dariush should be maybe a little bit higher, but I don't know, maybe not. I mean, he's definitely on the come up, and I do enjoy watching him fight quite a lot, to be honest with you.
It's a 6-fight streak for Beneil right now.
And he's got some great knockouts, by the way. James Vick won, I don't know and the Drakkar Close, which is my knockout of the year.
Of the year last year.
My knockout of the year. Do you know what made that for my knockout of the year was just the momentum shift within the space of 10 seconds. And then just he was just zombified, wasn't he? Just like
wading forward. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was peak Dariush.
Yeah, and then he had the Holtzman spinning back fist, as well. Dariush looked spectacular. Whereas 2020 for Tony Ferguson was a brutal watch in every sense of the word.
Yes. And so he has, fallen out of immediate contention, rightly so, but the man was on a 12-fight streak.
Do you find now, if you look at that streak, it's
revisionist, isn't it? You start looking back, it's like, how good are those guys? How good is Tony? Yeah, it's crazy what happens.
Yeah, I think Tony was always a guy who was better than his opponents. Like, he was better than all of those guys. And I just think that he fought a lot of those guys at the point that they were just starting to turn into not great fighters. Although saying that, Cowboy Cerrone, at the time when he fought Ferguson, he was on a 4-fight win streak, wasn't he? I mean, Cerrone's record, by the way, I just want to bring this up. I think he's won something like 4 fights out of his last 17. 1, 2, 3.
Well, isn't he lost 6 in
4.
a row or something?
He's lost 6 in a row, no contest with Nico Price. 1, 2, 3, 9.
I mean,
10.
we didn't reference Cerrone.
Yeah. By the way,
What happened against Morono.
yeah. By the way, 4 wins out of 14. That's appalling.
Yeah.
Record. Yeah. No, Cerrone is a bit of a sad sight, and really that Ferguson fight was the start of that, wasn't it? Well, the Gaethje one as well. The Conor McGregor no-show. Lost to Pettis, lost to Nico Price, losing to Alex Morono. It's it's a bit of a shit show, to be honest.
As you say, Donald at least held more weight when Tony, destroyed him in that second round, right?
Yeah, he overwhelmed him.
Yeah.
But then it's like you're looking at Anthony Pettis, like how good is Pettis really at that point?
But
Kevin
you're
Lee.
also looking at him throwing up the triangle choke on Kevin Lee.
Yes.
Digging deep. You're looking at Dos Anjos, Barbosa.
By the way, Dos Anjos was in Mexico City where Cain Velasquez crumbled against Verdum. Sea-level Cain, obviously. Barbosa, Josh Thompson, Gleison Tebow. I mean, these are really good fighters that I think only look not that great now because of their recent run. And I guess you could then also tie that into the general fight game where people look at Stipe now and they're like, oh no, you can't say he's the greatest heavyweight in the history of the UFC, which he is, just based purely on his record more than anything else. And it's like, yeah, the fight game is brutal. You go out on your back.
So, I mean, what I want to say here, Joe, is...
Sorry.
Yes, we are. Of course, I am. It's like this alternate reality, and I am questioning Tony. I don't actually think it's fair. Off a 12-fight streak, and don't forget there was only that. Was it? He broke his arm against Michael Johnson.
He did, yeah.
I think apart from that, Michael Johnson. Obviously, you never know. He could beat anyone or lose to anyone.
Yes.
But I think he would be 15 fight streak if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, it is a freak run, particularly in that division as well, which is
the densest division,
the best division. The best division, yeah. It's the jewel in the crown of the company.
So I liked what Tony had to say. In fact, I like the way he's taken his losses. Really seems to have taken them remarkably well.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be really like thundering back down to earth and a lot of pride.
Is he taking it well though, or is it delusion? Did you see his breakdown of the Oliveira fight, where he was just like, I broke him, and it was just like.
Well, I saw what he had to say in the countdown, which was fucking great.
What did he say in the countdown?
So it opens up, the shots on Tony. Of course, he's wearing shades inside, and 5 fingers come up, and he's like, 5 hours. I did 5 hours of jiu-jitsu before preparing for Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, but that's not my problem. This is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but he cast 2020 as him showing his reliability for the UFC and that he's a clutch fighter and he's a company man, and he proved himself in that. Now, look, all right, delusional it may be, but it adds to the legend of El Kukui.
Yes, that's true.
And I am invested in that legend. I can tell you the Pettis fight, the Cerrone fight, the Kevin Lee fight. I mean, these are like just legendary displays for me of the bogeyman. And I want that man to win. The problem is he's fighting Dariush, who is also, like the Christian version of the bogeyman, the Christian devil.
I know.
The Scourge.
What a sweet man, by the way. Can we just get that out there?
Yes, we did talk a little bit in the embedded.
Yes. Well, also just his actual life, spending time, in Haiti, doing sort of like work helping people in poverty and whatever else. Genuinely very sweet man. And then you watch the embedded and he's just like, yeah, no, Sundays always take off and I do something with my wife, go to the park, go to the zoo, and it's just like, is this a 4-year-old? Like, what's like, that's his idea of like a fun day. And it's just like, yeah, it probably is, but I don't know. He comes across as a very sweet guy.
And that man is an absolute killer. Would you believe it? Absolute warrior who can take an unbelievable amount of damage and
dish it out. Yeah.
even more. So what Dariush had to say in the countdown, which was interesting, is that he wants to outstrike Tony. Basically, he wants to put Tony on the back foot. He wants to put Tony in Tony's dark place. He wants that to happen. So that Tony's less inclined to trade with him. Now, you talk about delusion. Thinking you can silence Tony Ferguson through your own output is got to be peak delusion.
Do you buy into the thing with Ferguson as well, that he only can really perform with a crowd? And that he buys into that energy and he taps into that?
Yes, well, to an extent, of course, with caveats. Yes, I think that's a huge factor for him. I think he does thrive off that energy. And, I mean, if you're going to say the crowd having an impact, who's it going to have an impact on? It's Tony.
I think that's a good point.
He's also probably, it's in Texas. He's drawing on the Hispanic element there. You've got to imagine they're going to be rooting for him.
I guess so. I mean, also particularly if you look at that Canelo fight from the weekend where 72,000 people, mostly Mexican, cheering for that guy there. Yeah, I think there will be that to it. My issue is that I feel that as an orthodox fighter, I don't think he can beat Beneil Dariush. In an orthodox fight, I don't think he can do it.
I've had Dariush by decision.
I've got Dariush by decision as well.
Isn't
it sad? Isn't that sad?
It is really sad. It is really sad. I mean, you have to look at the way that Charles Oliveira just dominated Tony. He grappled him. He wrestled him.
By the way, Dariush is a BJJ black belt.
Dariush just absolutely ran through Ferreira. I mean,
went into his guard and just battered him, basically.
Yeah, just overwhelmed him.
Yeah,
before Gillespie did it.
Yes, so. Exactly. And he's a world champion in jiu-jitsu as well. So I feel like that jiu-jitsu, I feel like Tony Ferguson, his skills get slightly overhyped because of the personality, a little bit, and because of who he trains with or trained with.
I have to agree with you based on the last year. I have to, but normally you go into a Tony Ferguson fight. He doesn't look that great in the first round.
No.
It takes a while to get going. He's throwing unorthodox stuff. He's eating strikes. Sometimes he even gets rocked.
Yeah.
I think it was Lando Venata, wasn't it? Really early on in that.
Yeah, Lando Venata. Yeah, and that was supposed to be Michael Chiesa. He was supposed to fight, and then Venata on short notice. I think it was like 5 days or something.
But the thing is, you go through all of this, and then suddenly you notice that the other guy is leaking, absolutely leaking, like Pettis or Cerrone, and he's just taking them into his own deep waters, into the land of El Kukui. But the cold hard facts, Dariush has to be the pick. We're a serious organisation here.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother. I mean, the name puts it out there that how much we love Tony Ferguson. And that he is going to be an all-time favourite for me. There's just something about him that strikes me as a bit sad now. He's still walking around with that old belt, and I know that means the world to him, but it's like it's not a good image to be putting out there for me. When you're facing a guy who's on the come up, who's trying to get to that title, and you're still rocking around with the old one, interim belt. That you beat Kevin Lee, and Kevin Lee was ranked 11th at the time that you fought him for that belt.
The thing is though, I don't know if I can quite accept that portrayal of what's going on, because you can look at other former champs who have fallen from grace pretty spectacularly. I'm thinking about certain Tyron Woodley, and they barely went out with a whimper in the end. They just disappeared.
Yeah, I know. The Covington fight was particularly bad for Woodley, I felt like. The Luque one, I know that he went for it as best he could, but he just didn't have it to beat that guy. And I feel like that's what we're going to see against Dariush.
But we're all Well, the thing is, when you're waiting for Tyron, it's like, well, can he pull the trigger? Is this the, and that's bullshit. He was never a fighter who was really pulling the trigger.
No.
Yes, he had the huge knockout on Lawler, but Tony, he is, and I feel like his mindset is appropriate. It would make me uncomfortable if he was only calling it. He was like, "I'm not fighting Dariush below me, and I'm a big shot. I'm fighting for my legacy." But he's not. He's there. He's all business. He loves the.
He fought
the game.
He fought Oliveira. He didn't have to take that Oliveira fight. He did it on 3 weeks' notice. A guy who was ranked quite a bit below him at the time. Ferguson, I think, was still third. In a way, you could still justify Ferguson having a fight against a guy in the top 5 at that point.
Joe, you've got Conor McGregor fighting Cowboy, and off that, he's fighting for a belt.
Yeah.
Tony is legit. He's lost to Gaethje, who was obviously a nightmare matchup in hindsight, and an absolutely streaking Charles Oliveira.
But you're saying all this and you're still picking Dariush.
Well, Joe, I'm coming off a loss myself, so I'm all business too.
Fair enough.
Let's get on to the main event.
Chandler Oliveira, Charles Oliveira, Charlie Olives, according to Dan Hooker, fighting for this vacant lightweight belt, when in actuality Dustin Poirier should be in this fight. That's the thing I get from this mostly, because without Khabib, Poirier is the best lightweight in the world. He should be fighting for the belt, but he's fighting Conor McGregor instead, which is the right decision, really.
I'm fine with all of this. Funnily enough, I'm fine with all of this.
Should Gaethje be in this fight?
Gaethje needs to go and beat somebody else, just anybody. He should be. He's there. But these guys are coming off wins.
Do you think that they've lucked into this as well? Because there's 2 guys that haven't lost to Khabib.
Yes, I do. And just timing wise. You cannot deny. For me, you cannot deny Charlie Olives. You just can't. You can't. He's on an 8-fight streak, and he's just obliterated Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, who were real contenders at the time.
Yeah, personally, I would. If it was an ideal world, I would still have him face one more guy before having a belt, for having a shot. Same for Chandler. In an ideal world, I would say.
Listeners, I'm shaking my head here.
No, what? Wait, so hold on. If Khabib was the champ, would you have Oliveira fight him?
Yeah, he'd be next up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he would. Who would be above? You can't tell me Chandler would be above Oliveira.
I think they would book him ahead of Oliveira.
I think they would book him, but I don't think that would be the right thing to do.
No. I think, to be honest, Poirier would be ahead of him. If he's
Khabib absolutely smoked Poirier.
Yeah, but Poirier's beaten Hooker and McGregor in that time, so his value, I think, is of greater value.
McGregor, who's got 1 win in the division since his last win was 4.5 years ago.
And what's Kevin Lee's records then? That's the other side of it. Is you have to. It depends on how you book these things. Yes, I think in a justifiable world, yes, you would put Oliveira ahead of Poirier, but in actuality, I just don't think that's the case. Anyway, getting into the X's and O's of this, let's break down your relationship with Michael Chandler. What do you know of the man? What do you think of him? What do you think of him as a person, first of all?
Well, I watched, on your recommendation, Mixed Mollywoppery, is that it?
Yes, that's the guy.
The kind of northeast twanged YouTuber who gives his considered takes, and the video is titled Complete Ownership or Total Ownership.
Total Ownership, I think, yeah.
About Chandler and his mindset. And yeah, I dig it. I'm down. I'm with it. He's obviously the all-American wrestler. We saw that promo after the Hooker fight. He's got his. You're a big fan of WWE. Oh, you were, right?
I was back in the day, yeah, and up until maybe about 3 years ago, yeah, that was.
Well, but you.
Yeah. I'm a wrestling fan, yeah.
You like that type of promo.
When it's done well and poorly as well, by the way. There's nothing like a terrible promo. Your boy, what was that guy's name who called out Miley Cyrus? Do you remember him? He's just like, be my Valentine. to Miley Cyrus. Do you remember this guy? What was his name? Julian Marquez, that was it.
Okay.
And then she responded going like, yeah, all right. And then he added like some weird stipulation, and then she didn't respond. Have you seen this?
I don't know this. No.
Treat yourself. It's a horrendous fucking exchange.
You type Julian Marquez. Ah, that fella.
Yeah.
And you get, first result is with Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we're going way off track here. Yeah, Chandler, former Bellator world champion, beat Patricky Pitbull, lost to Patricio Pitbull. No shame in that, in losing to Patricio. And then his most recent couple fights beat Benson Henderson and who was the other guy he beat in Bellator? I cannot remember his name. But he had a great series of fights with Eddie Alvarez. He had the fight with Brent Primus, I should say. He had a slightly strange one where he had the Sean O'Malley foot roll thing where, the trapped nerve and he's foot rolled from there. So he's got, an impressive record out of Bellator. Will Brooks as well. He had a couple fights with him, who at the time when lost to Will Brooks, who at the time was quite the prospect and obviously hasn't really gone on to much, sadly.
Came into the UFC and got found out, didn't he, Will Brooks?
I don't know. These guys, I always find that's a little bit unfair with these some of these guys. But then I guess if you're losing to Nick Lentz, how good can you actually be? Yes, Michael Chandler, I very much like him. High energy, pressing fighter, 100 miles an hour from the opening bell. Against Charles Oliveira, who is the taller, rangier fighter, which I think suits Chandler, personally.
Well, I mean, obviously, Oliveira has a build not too dissimilar to Dan Hooker's. And, we only need to look at the evidence of Chandler's first fight there. KOing Hooker in spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
Amazing debut.
Yeah, he sort of spammed that left-right combo and then used it to feint into a thunderous left hand. Yeah, that was quite spectacular. Yeah, I like Michael Chandler. I like Charles. I almost said Charlie Olives. Charles Oliveira. I feel like this is not going to go to the ground at any stage. I don't think it's going to go to the ground.
Interesting.
What are you feeling on this?
Well, I have a lot of unanswered questions going in because I haven't followed Chandler's career in great detail in Bellator. Not all that convinced, just taking a superficial look. But I've seen, of course, Charles Oliveira for a decade now in the UFC, and I've seen him face some issues. I've seen him wilt. Could say I've seen him break. He's lost to Felder, Pettis, Lamas,
Frankie Edgar, Max Holloway.
Okay. Yes, Cub Swanson. But these guys at the time, they were all
Cerrone, Miller.
Yeah, a lot of losses.
No shame in that though, because this isn't boxing.
I think you're looking at an evolved Charles Oliveira. I really took notice of him in that Kevin Lee fight.
Yeah.
Kevin Lee, bigger, stronger, powerful wrestler, great all-rounder. Very much in prime form. And Oliveira, of course, the submission specialist, on a good streak, but picking up kind of, unranked guys and you'd catch him on the prelims with a submission, an anaconda choke or a rear naked choke. But against Kevin Lee, he came in looking much bigger, much more confident going forward, and he absolutely put it on, Kevin Lee. It was kind of like a breakout performance for me. I really, really took notice of him there and just how physically he had grown, and also his approach.
I think how much do you buy into the crowds not being there, helping him? Because there is a theory that he does crumble when he's put on the big stage and he's given the big opportunity. How much do you buy into the fact that there were no crowds there to put that pressure onto him?
I would point to the fact that he's on 4 or 5 fight win streak, even more maybe before the pandemic.
But who? I mean, what? Clay Guida, Nick Lentz, David Tamer, Jared Gordon. That's not really the bright lights, is it? I mean,
No.
Will Brooks, for fuck's sake. It's not. To me, it's going to be interesting to see if he can handle that pressure.
Kevin Lee, that was in front of a crowd, was it not?
No, that was the first COVID show.
Ah.
Yeah, that was the first.
Interesting narrative there, then.
And also, Kevin Lee missed weight going into that fight as well, as per usual. Well,
but we never know what that means, though. That could be advantage Lee rather than disadvantage Lee.
Yeah, sure. It could also be the psychological block, though, of he couldn't even make weight, and then it's whatever. I mean, he'd lost, so it's a justifiable loss in the end to me. I think we're kind of skirting around the fact here that I think both me and you are on different sides of the argument here.
Yes, as were Felder and Chiesa.
Oh, really?
Yes, they were, yeah. Oh. Who do you think went for who? It's kind of obvious, really.
I think Chiesa went for Chandler.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
So let me quote Chiesa. There's no way Charles Oliveira can stop the Michael Chandler takedown. There's no way. So he sees it.
But why would he stop it?
Well, because he's such a dominant wrestler. So you think that Charles Oliveira's game plan here will be to fight out of his own guard on his back?
I think he'd be happy to do that.
Ooh,
to be honest,
I am not expecting that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so at all.
Why not?
Because that is not the Charles Oliveira we've been watching in these standout shows. We've not been watching a man who's trying to. He chose to go in to pull Kevin Lee into his guillotine choke. But first, he was really dominating him on the feet. If I remember correctly, it was a kind of desperate shot from Lee.
Yeah.
Where he fell into that.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony, he went and wrestled Tony. He was dumping him. He was monstering him.
The problem with that, though, is that Tony Ferguson's jiu-jitsu, anyway, is not traditional jiu-jitsu. And if you're coming up against a guy who has that foundation in jiu-jitsu, like a Beneil Dariush, you're going to struggle, really, I feel like. Whereas Ferguson's sort of unorthodox sort of qualities, it kind of facilitated his sort of striking. Like, for example, throwing elbows whilst in the guards and whatever else, and all that sort of weird mumbo-jumbo he goes for. Anyway, going back to the Chandler-Oliveira fight, I think my main issue with this for Oliveira is the pace.
Well, this is my big unanswered question. I've seen a few different takes, and I just don't know what we're going to get from Oliveira in the later rounds. He certainly didn't tire against Tony over 15 minutes, but of course he was dominating the fight and he was on top. So this is a big question for me. Is yes, does the cardio edge really go to Chandler in that? You're sure of that?
I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah, I would say. I'm not certain on it. Obviously not, because you don't know what's going to happen in the fight. You don't know what injuries they're carrying into this either. You have to assume something, but maybe not to the point where it's going to be a major detriment to their performance. But I think Chandler does have that edge, and I think in a way, he's got the power edge as well in terms of his striking. He doesn't have the most variety to his striking, I should say, but he has a sort of overwhelming sort of quality to it. Whereas Oliveira tends to like to use kicks to sort of keep sort of distance, which I think, to be honest, Chandler will be able to get inside. The champ is going to put his prediction down. Chandler by decision.
By decision?
By decision.
So that suggests Oliveira's not going to wilt.
No, I'm hedging my bets there. I'm not sure if Chandler's going to be able to finish him later in the fight.
See, my feeling is if this doesn't touch the mat, I'm giving it I'm giving it advantage Oliveira.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, if this does not touch the mat. My two caveats are, yes, if we really see a difference in the cardio, and Oliveira tiring and getting overwhelmed and finished, is how I would see it, by Chandler late on. That's the principal one. That's my principal concern for Oliveira. But if it stays on the feet, the diversity that Oliveira has there, I see him beating Chandler if it stays on the feet.
I think Chandler, this is going to suit him down to the ground. He's got a large target in Oliveira. He's done his best work against guys who are bigger than him. I do think he's got the power to knock Oliveira out. It's just, I think Oliveira, has he ever been knocked out? I don't. Oh, he has. He has. He has.
Against Felder. And against Cub Swanson.
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to change my pick now because that's against the rules, but I'm going to stick with Chandler by decision. I think he can knock him out. I just don't think he will. I just can't envision it. That's partly my problem with that sort of finish. Anyway.
There's no way I could not pick Charles Oliveira after his last two displays. And the run he's on. I just think I had there were question marks. I wanted to pick Oliveira against Tony, but I had doubts, about his record and his history.
We both did, yeah.
But judging from what I had seen against Kevin Lee, and his more recent record, I should have been more inclined to back Oliveira. I don't know. It's this blonde hair. He's a much bigger fella. It's just imperious the way he's come out in his last two fights. And this time, I'm on board. I'm buying in. I'm gonna use the information in front of me. I'm gonna trust what my eyes have seen, and I've gone for Oliveira. Struggled, I have to say, with how he's gonna do it, because I could see a decision. I could see a knockout, and I could see a sub. Now, I know Chandler's not been submitted, but the way I'm seeing it is I'm seeing Chandler get tired.
Really?
I'm seeing Chandler get tired, absorbing a lot of strikes, in the same way that Tony did. And I'm seeing over 5 rounds, Oliveira seeing the opportunity for a sub.
So you're going Oliveira by submission?
I am.
Wow, bold prediction. This is the most divergent we've been in a long time.
So let's just review that then. It was... I
had Bonta in by sub.
And I've got him by decision.
I got Burgos by KO.
And I've got Barbosa
by KO.
TKO. Yeah, by KO.
Yeah. Whenever we say KO, we mean it's that sort of...
Yeah, we don't make distinctions.
No. A knockout's a knockout. Araujo by decision.
I mean, you've given me the points there.
Dariush,
2 in the bank.
Dariush by decision is our only...
with a heavy heart, yeah.
Yeah, with a heavy heart. And then Chandler by decision for me, and then you've gone Oliveira by submission.
This is the most diverse we've been, Joe.
Yeah, ever, I think. This is quite something. Right. Wow.
So, mate, I'll be on here next week to gloat. I'll be setting up a gift registry, and you can pick something for me. Send the belt in the post, whatever. We'll deal with that after the event.
Okay. Do you know what? There was a part of me before this, I was thinking, I wonder what Tom's going to choose for these. And I was thinking, am I going to Mourinho him and just try and match his sort of picks and be like, I'm going to go for a 0-0 here. No, the thing with this sort of thing when you make these predictions is that you're so certain going into it, and you're like, I'm going to get at least 8 points here. Maybe I wonder if I could get 10. That's never the case. It's a 4-5 point jobby, this thing.
The funny thing about this one is as well that really you can buy into any kind of narrative on most of these fights.
Yeah.
It's really much more tricky than usual, and really exciting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, and I'm also getting that feeling about the next card as well. There's a lot going on with that. Is it UFC 263? Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to have to come to that next week. We'll save it until then because I'm feeling inspired right now. I need to go and work out myself.
I just looked at the card very quick. I'll let you go in a second. On the prelims of that card, Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell.
Yeah, I did notice that, yeah. So that's the first guy to potentially drop out, the first one of these. I mean, I didn't put Drew Dober in my kind of questionable records camp because I thought we had enough with McGregor and his 4.5 years since winning. But yeah, we might get some justice there. But Dober deserves his 15th. I'm not going to...
Of course, yeah. Of course. Right, well, thank you very much for listening. We went a bit long as per usual. It's hard not to be honest, when we're breaking these down. And it's so speculative. Like, we can't make these sort of, like, predictions without going deep into them. I mean, particularly if you look at that Chukagi and Araujo discussion that we had. Anyway, listeners, thank you for listening. God bless you. And we'll be back next week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, to or whenever, maybe even Monday.
Yeah, well, I'll be the defending champion by then. So I will.
You can't defend something you don't have. So I'm not having that.
Well, at that point, Joe, I'll be sitting on the belt and I'll be summoning you for.
Do you know how upset will you be if I've won this? It doesn't even bear thinking about, does it? It doesn't even bear thinking about.
I am taking a leaf out of Tony Ferguson's school of delusion.
If I get 10 points now, by the way, you're gonna be giving it. I had 5 minutes before we recorded to pick my predictions. You know. Right. Anyway, thank you, listeners, and
thanks, guys.
God bless.